The room was silent when the world's brightest engineers finally admitted defeat. After months of sleepless nights, endless calculations, and thousands of failed attempts, the words nobody expected to hear echoed through the massive research facility: "We've tried everything." 100 engineers stood around the broken machine, staring at it like it was a mystery that could never be solved. But then, through the quiet crowd, a man nobody recognized stepped forward. He wasn't wearing a designer suit. He wasn't carrying a fancy degree. He was just a tired single father with grease on his hands, a worn jacket, and a belief that sometimes the biggest answers come from the simplest places. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of never giving up, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Beyond Single Dad. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to life. The man's name was Kieran Vale. To the engineers, he looked like someone who had accidentally walked into a place where he didn't belong. The facility belonged to a world-famous automotive technology company that had spent years creating the next generation of electric vehicles. Their newest prototype was supposed to change the future, but something was wrong. The car's advanced power system kept failing in ways nobody could understand. The greatest minds in the company had examined every circuit, every sensor, every line of code. Engineers from different countries had flown in. Specialists had tested every possible solution. The company's reputation was on the line, and every day that passed brought them closer to losing everything they had built. Kieran wasn't there as an engineer. He was there because he worked as a maintenance mechanic at a small local garage. He had spent most of his life fixing old cars that other people had given up on. Cars with broken engines, strange sounds, and problems nobody wanted to deal with. He didn't have a team of researchers behind him. He didn't have expensive equipment. He only had years of experience, patience, and the memory of every machine he had ever repaired. His life had not been easy. After losing his wife years earlier, Kieran became the only parent to his young daughter, Mara. Every morning before work, he packed her lunch, walked her to school, and promised her that no matter how difficult life became, they would keep moving forward. There were nights when he sat alone at the kitchen table, looking at unpaid bills and wondering how he would provide for his daughter. But every morning, when Mara smiled and told him she believed in him, he found the strength to continue. That was the kind of person Kieran was. Someone who knew what it meant to struggle. Someone who understood that broken things were not always useless. Sometimes they just needed someone willing to understand them. When he arrived at the facility, the engineers watched him quietly. Some doubted him. They had spent years studying technology, and now a mechanic was asking to inspect their billion-dollar project. But Kieran didn't argue. He simply walked toward the vehicle and opened the hood. For hours, he didn't speak. He listened. He touched different parts carefully. He looked at the system differently than the engineers had. They had been searching for a complicated failure. Kieran was looking for a simple reason. He noticed something small. A tiny vibration that happened only when the system reached a certain temperature. Something almost invisible that everyone else had ignored because they were focused on the bigger picture. The engineers gathered around as Kieran pointed toward the problem. It wasn't a major design flaw. It wasn't a complicated software error. It was a small connection issue caused by a tiny component that had been overlooked during testing. The room went completely quiet. The same engineers who had spent months searching had missed something that a single father with years of hands-on experience noticed within hours. But Kieran didn't celebrate. He didn't say, "I told you so." He simply smiled and said that sometimes machines, like people, give small signs when something is wrong. You just have to slow down enough to notice. The repair worked. The vehicle powered on. The screens came alive. The system that had defeated an entire team of experts finally worked perfectly. The company offered Kieran a position with a huge salary, but what mattered most to him was something else. He wanted to show his daughter that no matter where you come from, your value is not measured by a title, a suit, or a piece of paper. It is measured by your heart, your effort, and your willingness to keep trying. Months later, the company launched the vehicle successfully. During the celebration, Kieran stood in the crowd holding Mara's hand. She looked at him proudly, knowing her father had done something extraordinary. The world saw a mechanic who fixed a machine. But Mara saw something much bigger. She saw a father who never gave up, even when life tried to break him. Sometimes the people who save the day are not the ones everyone expects. Sometimes the greatest solutions come from ordinary people who have survived extraordinary challenges. If this story touched your heart, please support this video by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your engagement helps these stories reach more people who need a reminder that hope can come from the most unexpected places. And before this story ends, leave a comment saying, "Second chances matter," if you believe everyone deserves an opportunity to prove their worth. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person, one moment, and one open heart to remind the world that hidden inside every struggle is the possibility of something amazing.